All right, we are broadcasting live. It is Friday morning. I've got my coffee. Hope you get yourself a cup of coffee or a beverage of choice on this Friday morning live that we do here on the afternoon drive. Again, I love this time of the year. The 9 years that I lived in Florida, I could do this every day. I live in a part of the country now where I cannot do this every day. But when the summer months get here, and we apparently skip spring because 2 weeks ago it was in the 50s and today it's near 90. And I love it. It can't get hot enough or humid enough for me. I absolutely love it. So good morning and welcome to Friday Morning Live right here on the afternoon drive. One more just quick little, I guess you would call it non-commercial commercial before we get started. I host a 2-hour syndicated oldie show called the Sunday Matinee. It's on a couple of dozen stations around the country as well as on the internet, and it specializes in 50s and 60s original era rock and roll oldies. And we give away these beautiful white and red ceramic cups. These are high quality. I don't sell them, I give them away. And if you go to my Sunday Matinee Radio Facebook page, that's 3 words, Sunday Matinee Radio, and on the private message section, just send me your name, a mailing address. By the way, no P.O. boxes. No P.O. boxes. UPS does not deliver to P.O. boxes. Send me your name, your mailing address. If you listen to the Sunday Matinee, tell me what station you hear it on. If you're watching me here on YouTube, tell me that. And I will send you one of these Sunday Matinee coffee mugs absolutely free. And that's just my way of saying thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for literally not just being part of the audience, but being a friend. And I want to thank you. And this is my way of putting something in your hand so that you know that I really do appreciate you being part of the, whether it's the radio audience or the YouTube audience. Thank you so much. Well, last night, Donald Trump did another town hall, but he did it on Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News. I didn't even know it was going to happen. I didn't see any promotion or advertising of it. Now, full disclosure, I have not watched anything with Fox News since they unceremoniously let Tucker Carlson go. In fact, all of my computers, the home page when I would go online would go to Fox News online. The computers that I use to produce this, to produce things that I do for church and ministry, all of them were set to that. My radio computers, everything. Everything has been reset. My homepage is now Newsmax. So I knew nothing of Donald Trump going to be on Fox News last night for a town hall. I have one computer that I hadn't made the changeover on. I have a small little laptop that I use in my gazebo, which is over there on the other side of the property, that I sit in every night to have a cigar and watch the New York Mets play baseball. I stream the games because I'm out of market. And last night the Mets were not playing, and I got out there a little bit late. It was about 5 minutes to 9. Opened up that laptop, went online. Immediately it opened to the Fox News page, and I saw the crawl. Breaking. Donald Trump will be on with Sean Hannity for live town hall, 9 p.m. So, the first time I've watched Fox News since Tucker Carlson was let go, and there he was, Donald Trump in Iowa. And, you know, at the very beginning, Sean Hannity said something to the effect that it was not his job to argue with the president, but everything was on the table. He would ask him questions, and some of the people there would be allowed to ask questions. Well, of course, Hannity, doing what Hannity does, I call him 5-line Hannity. He says the same 5 things over and over and over, and apparently he only brings guests onto his show to just reaffirm what he had said in his monologue. I've never seen a more insecure guy in my life than Sean Hannity. He's not a professional broadcaster. He was a guy who painted houses, who got a gig in radio, and Roger Ailes picked him as, you know, kind of this all-American boy that could spew some conservatism on the fledgling Fox News network back in the day. paired him up with Alan Colmes, made sure, right down to the nitty-gritty detail, that the half of the studio that where Sean Hannity was sitting was air-conditioned, and the half where Alan Colmes was sitting was not air-conditioned, so that Colmes would constantly be seen as kind of like sweating it out for the answer and the back and forth with Hannity. And Hannity always looking, calm and cool and collected, and like Mitt Romney, has that Ken doll, perfect, every plastic hair in place, paralyzed with hairspray. So what I'm saying is Sean Hannity is a media creation. Since I'm in the mood to talk about oldies, it's the difference between, say, an Elvis and a Fabian back in the 1950s. Elvis was an honest-to-goodness rockabilly singer who could play guitar, who could actually sing, and he was in the music business. Fabian was a kid walking down the street that a record producer saw and thought, we put a pompadour hairdo on this guy, we could get him to sing. He couldn't sing. He was flat. He was awful. His voice had to be studio engineered back in the day just so it could sound somewhat credible. And he was a creation. Fabian is coming. Fabian is coming. Nobody knew what a Fabian was till, poof, there he was one day on the TV screen, and the girls went nuts, and the record companies laughed, and they realized, we don't have to hire talent. We just have to hire somebody that we can build a campaign around. And that's what happened with Sean Hannity over at Fox News. But anyway, I digress. Back to the town hall. The town hall, finally, about the last 10 minutes or so, like 3 people got to ask Donald Trump questions. Let me tell you, that's where Donald Trump really shines. His interaction with people. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. This is a huge handicap and problem for Ron DeSantis. He doesn't have a personality. He doesn't have humor. He doesn't engage well with people. He does great in a scripted environment, i.e. Twitter, when it doesn't blow up. And he can talk tough like he did the other day with the media. When he gets in those small, have you ever noticed, even in Florida, when he does these events, they put him in small compressed areas. They put a half a dozen people flanking him, from his staff or, sycophant fawners, and they're standing there and they're nodding their head. And then all of a sudden, when he's done making his presentation, he starts taking questions from the media, and he starts pushing back and saying things to them like, wow, that was a really dumb question, because let me tell you how tough I am here as the governor of Florida and what I've done and what I've accomplished. They put him in controlled environments where even when he has to be confrontational, I'm getting buzzed by a bee, even when he has to get confrontational, it's scripted. He's plastic. He's phony. I've told you this. He is a deep state Trojan horse. That's all he is. And the successes that he's had in Florida are based on becoming Trump-light and the fact that the deep state has allowed him to have those successes so they could set him up as the perfect Trojan horse to hopefully suck off the MAGA people back to an officially approved candidate. Which means if he were to get in office, he would do exactly what the status quo want him to do. Mark it down, mark it down, mark it down. But Donald Trump, most of the questions were kind of regurgitations of what we heard over on CNN, other than Hannity didn't go after him about, election fraud or any of that. Trump does tend to ramble a little bit. Now, some people say, he's undisciplined in his answers. Trump, and I really realized this last night, really does have an incredible gift for extemporaneous speech. I do extemporaneous speech. When I preach a sermon on a Sunday, most people are floored when they come up and they look at my outline or what I have in front of me at the pulpit. I mean, some weeks it's literally just 2 or 3 bullet points and a couple of scripture passages. You preach for an hour, and this is it? I mean, at the most, if I've got a couple of statements that pop into my head and I want to make sure that I give them out verbatim, I type them out, write them out, so that, again, when I'm preaching in the moment and it's extemporaneous, oftentimes I don't remember what I had thought about, 2 hours ago, that 2 hours after the sermon, I'm kicking myself because, I wanted to say this and I didn't say it. Donald Trump's great gifting is the gift of extemporaneous speech. Listen to me. This is what makes him connect with people, because it's authentic. He is completely authentic in the way that he interacts with people. And that's why I found it so incredibly more interesting than listening to Sean Hannity drone on with the questions that you knew he was going to ask, because he's in love with the sound of his own voice, and the fact that he's completely insecure and so he thinks he has to dominate the hour. When the people actually got to ask questions, it was great. And Donald Trump enjoyed it. And I'm thinking Donald Trump would have far rather had interacted with them all night than to have had to have interacted with Sean Hannity. I love watching Donald Trump talk to real people. And when he can talk to real people, even if they went in there not supporting him because they believed whatever the propaganda or the official, description of Donald Trump has been portrayed by the media. And people have said this over and over. When I met him, I was like, wow, I really like him. He engages well. It is his great strength. Now, where it is his handicap is it sounds like sometimes, and he gets accused of evading an answer to a question. Well, really, he starts out to give the answer, but his mind works in such a way, kind of like, he rabbit trails on something, and then he doesn't get back to where he needs to be. And some of that might be on purpose, and I think some of that is just he's in the moment. And, Sean could politely say, well, Mr. President, what I would like an answer on is, and then, restate the question. But I thought Donald Trump's strongest, because it was pretty much vintage Donald Trump. I thought where he was the strongest was in two areas. Sean Hannity, of course, wanted to press him on Ukraine. And, Trump was great. He basically kind of gave the same answer that he gave on CNN with one little caveat. He said, I told Putin, you will not go into Ukraine or you will regret it. And of course, immediately Hannity pounces in, you threatened him with annihilation. And he said, let's just say it wasn't going to be good, what I was going to do. I mean, that was a masterful answer from Donald Trump. It was the right kind of tough talk, and yet it was not meant like a Lindsey Graham to purposely escalate to where now Lindsey Graham is wanted by the Russian KGB for basically saying that he loves to see dead Russians. Way to escalate the war. Way to keep it going. And of course, the real reason they don't want there to be peace in Ukraine is not only is this a great grift for the military-industrial complex, not only is it great cover for Joe Biden, who the Ukraine government, invested hundreds of millions of dollars in influence peddling through the years through Hunter. And that's all provable now, by the way. But, Biden's not under any kind of indictment. We're going to indict Donald Trump because he's being accused of groping a woman in a dressing room in a department store in New York City in 1990 by the cash register. Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. And then you wonder why people like Tara Reade, the woman that came forward about Joe Biden grabbing her hoochie and trying to force his way with having sex with her, and that for years he harassed her. 7 other women have come forward. Media doesn't talk about them, do they? And now Tara Reade is residing in Russia. Why? She's literally fearful for her life that she will be arrested and imprisoned and never see the light of day again. Because we have a corrupt presidency that has completely weaponized the justice system. So do we really think that these indictments, Donald Trump's going to get any kind of a fair hearing? Come on, give me a break. But that all said, Sean wanted Donald Trump to talk a little bit tougher on Ukraine, but Donald Trump gave a great answer. And then I thought this was his best moment of the night. He hit Ron DeSanctimonious. He hit him twice, called him DeSanctimonious on this. Yeah, I saw Ron the other day talking about that the reason that you all need to vote for him is because he could give you 8 years. And I can only give you 4 years. He said, I can get it done in 6 months. If he needs 8 years, that's 8 more years of misery on top of what you're already suffering. Bam! Bam! And he connected with the people on that answer last night. He absolutely, they got it. And again, the DeSantis team, they think the winning strategy here is to try to hit back on every one of Trump's accusations and to keep making the case, we want you MAGA people to join us because you could have 8 years of Ron DeSantis. And Donald Trump is keyed in on something. People are hurting right now. Right now. Right now, people are hurting with inflation. They are hurting being able to go to the grocery store and not only afford groceries, but to find what it is that they need, and the out-of-control gas prices and the problem at the border, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The problems are right now. And, you know, Ron DeSantis wants to talk about, we're going to take back America and give me 8 years. And Donald Trump said, give me 6 months. What will he do? Well, he'll immediately turn all the oil spigots back on. And he said, and trust me, the oil companies, they're ready to go. Once they get the green light, they will be ready to go. And you understand that when the price of fuel comes down, everything comes down, because nothing gets to you that doesn't require transportation by a vehicle or a mode of transportation that requires fossil fuel. So when the gas goes up, everything goes up. And when the gas comes down, everything goes down. Bump, ba-dum, bump. And when he takes us back to being energy independent and the largest energy supplier in the world, you can have the big tax cuts and still pay for everything new coming, because we have liquid gold under our feet to the point we could be 100 times richer than Saudi Arabia. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. So Donald Trump did a great job there last night. The problem is, nobody knew he was on. I bet most of you watching me right now did not know Donald Trump had a town hall last night. I didn't know it until 5 minutes before it happened. And that was really the crux of where I was going with this today. The media's decided the best way to take oxygen out of the Trump campaign right now, because he is dominating, media blockout. We know that we are going to get endless fawning support from Fox News over Ron DeSantis. But the regular media is just not going to cover Trump, or anything they got to cover about Trump. They're going to make sure that it is 100 times negative. You're not going to see the clips of the rallies anymore. You're not going to have Fox News or anybody covering the rallies in detail anymore. They're just not going to do it. But I can tell you, that crowd in Iowa last night, they were jazzed up and they were ready for Donald Trump. And again, when DeSantis talks about he can get the border under control, he's never had to get a border under control. That was one area Donald Trump had the border under control. And whether or not he finished the wall is irrelevant. He had the border under control. See, Donald Trump goes in on day one, and he knows what happened the first time to him. And like Donald Trump even made the point, said, yes, I had some bad people in my administration, but he said, I had some great ones too. One of the questions he got from the floor last night was from a veteran, that apparently the VA is broken again after Donald Trump fixed it. Veterans are again on 8-month waiting lists to get into the VA. We're under Donald Trump. He fixed that by basically, he fired 7,000 employees within the VA, and then made it possible so that any veteran, if he had to wait more than 24 hours to see a doctor, he could go to any doctor of his choice and the government would pick up the bill. Bump, ba-dum, bump. So Donald Trump, Listen to me. Listen, listen, listen. Please, somebody from Team Trump that watches this that can get this to him. You need, it's the one thing that will guarantee the media cannot do a blackout of you other than when they're, covering you sitting in a courtroom under indictment somewhere. You got to give them something that is so wow to talk about that all of your Republican rivals say, we can't do that. That the progressives would look at and say, wait a minute, did Donald Trump just say what I think he said? You could literally steal this thing, wink, 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 from the Democrats who would get on board with you over their own mental discognitive failure, Joe Biden. National health care, national health care, national health care, national health care. And by the way, most conservatives are ready for national health care. And I don't want to hear any more excuses about, it's just a socialist program, blah, 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 blah. Do you understand that while you say that and you keep yourself working class poor, that this money is really, you want to mortgage your house or lose everything you own because of a major illness in your family? We are to the point where the costs have gotten so out of control, this idea of we can do this. It would mean taking some money away from the military-industrial complex, and we know Lindsey Graham wouldn't like that. But if we stop funding all these wars all over the planet, there is plenty of money to do national health care. And by the way, you turn that oil spigot back on, and the money is just flowing into this country from all over the planet with everybody buying our fuel. There's plenty of money to give every American some basic health care. I mean, even people now, when you get a job and you get health care and you see half your paycheck gone every week because it's gone to pay for health care. How'd you like to have most of your paycheck intact and have health care? And not to mention, when you talk about this is socialism, really, what about all the people who don't pay when they go to the hospital? You end up paying for that on the other end. Your stuff costs so much more because they have to cover the X percentage of the people they know aren't going to pay. It's kind of like one of the reasons we got inflation right now is all this defund the police crapola. That never gets talked about, even in conservative media. Well, how do you figure, Pastor? We have the inflation because of all the free money they gave away. We also have inflation and out-of-control pricing right now because you've got all these gangs just wandering into stores, stealing crap, while the security guard stands there and watches it happen because I ain't losing my life over $9 an hour. And they just walk right out with stuff. People are filming it with their cell phones. What, you think all those companies just take that loss? Of course not. They jack the prices up on everything in their stores, and you and I pay for those gangs to wander in and walk off with it. So when you get crime back under control and stuff isn't being ripped off, prices come down. And when there's enough income flow here, and the government could just step in and say, that's it. We will put a health care program in place for every American. You get more of your paycheck. Because medical costs will go down because the government can make sure that the medical costs, which have gotten beyond out of control, are brought back into some sphere of, shall we say, planet reality. National health care, national health care, national health care. Donald Trump, if you would get on that and stay on that, that is a winner. You will get your whole base. You will get the independents. You will get some moderate Democrats with that. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Joe Biden yesterday gave the commencement address at the Air Force Academy. and he couldn't remember the word airplane or pilot. And so in just a minute, those things that are going to fly over us. And he couldn't remember the word plane or pilot. He kind of looked around and goes, 3 of them are women. And that's just how he said it. Are women. That's creepy. I mean, that is creepy. Now, I know he's doing that whisper for effect. And I will say this, in his mental, state, he's still more interesting to listen to than Ron DeSantis. He actually has some passion and emotion in his voice. Ron DeSantis, I can do what Trump did without the drop. I can. My mom told me I'm just as good. I can. And that's Ron DeSantis. Joe Biden then fell. Handing out diplomas, he fell. I mean, he didn't just fall or like a stumble. He face planted. Face planted completely. Do you understand that the other leaders of the world look at that and go, oh, ho, 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 ho. Do you think Kim Jong-un would ever allow his media to release footage of him falling? FDR didn't want newsreel coverage of him in a wheelchair. And he certainly didn't want Adolf or the Emperor of Japan seeing him in a wheelchair. Why? Because it projects weakness. You can get mad at that, you can talk about the stereotype, but there is a reality. It projects weakness. So what do you think the world leaders think every time they see this president can't go up a flight of stairs without falling? And now walking across a platform to give out diplomas to people who are entering the military. And he face plants. There's a lot at stake at this election. I think you know that. America is fundamentally different in just the 2.5 years that Joe Biden has been in office. And I'm not just talking about how he tanked the economy. He's tanked the morality, this woke hogwash. By the way, you need to watch a video I put on the other side here about Tim Pool over at Timcast. Conservatives have got to stop this. When we have conservative media outlets right now like Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News, and other conservatives, because it's June, it's Pride Month, they're now trying to find conservative homosexuals to interview. Conservative transgendered people to interview. Tim Pool over at Timcast last night had a trans dude female thing on last night. Tim Pool, who led the charge for the boycott against Bud Light, has been cheering that on for 3 months and is now trying to launch his own coffee brand, but yet treated us to a trans panelist last night, Sarah Higdon. Oh, Sarah's one of those that doesn't believe that, transgenders should be, thrust upon children, and that the woke agenda for transgenderism should not be forced on kids with displays at Target or in schools. No, she's not a she. I gave this illustration a little while ago. I'll give it again. 10 years ago, conservatives were here. Now we're here. 10 years ago when we were here, the left was here. We were here. They were here. Now they're way over here, the left. So what have we done? We're just gone here. And what do we keep saying? Well, we're not over there like they are. No, but we will be in 10 years. See, we keep moving. The idea is not to just keep a safe distance between us and them. The idea is to hold the line. Hold the line. Somebody just said that Tim Pool was closeted, had no idea. No, because I don't get into the private lives of all of these individuals. I really just kind of latched onto Tim Pool recently because of his whole, take no prisoners regarding the Bud Light debacle. And I was hoping, beyond hope, that there was somebody in the younger generation reaching the younger demographic with conservative principles. But apparently, joke's on me. Well, it was good to see you on this Friday morning, but no, going forward that the media is going to try to block out Trump. Trump needs to, like he did when he announced for president. I know some of you get a little nervous when I start talking about the national health care, but listen to me on this. Listen to why I'm saying this. When Donald Trump announced in 2016, he went big on, he was talking about the border and a border wall. Nobody in the election was talking about that election cycle. Nobody till Donald Trump did. He flipped the script and he made them come to his agenda. And he won in a landslide. Donald Trump can't just go out every day and defend what he's already done and fend off Ron DeSantis by saying, but I did it before Ron and Ron is just copying me. Donald Trump has got to come up with something big and bold that's different, that nobody is expecting or sees coming, especially from somebody on the right. And there is a way. Yes, I promise you, there is a way to do national health care. You want to keep your private insurance? We'll actually keep the Barack Obama promise. You want to keep your private health insurance? Then keep it. You want to keep paying $900 a month out of pocket for a family plan? You got the resources to do that? Okay, you can do that. But you give the working class in this country health care, and you figure out a way that every major employer kick in to the government some type of fee, and that the employers themselves can now finally get health care off of their budget. I'm telling you, this can be done, and it doesn't have to tank the economy. It can actually be part of a boom once we get the oil flowing. Mr. President, national health care, national health care. Get the working man on your side. And by the way, bring his jobs back from China. We did it once, we got to do it again. Way too much crapola is made in China. That's it. I think I'm done with my extemporaneous rant for today. You have yourself a fantastic